Hey boo, send out here, and it's real unpopular opinion time. Today you're gonna be mad. That's why I'm waving and smiling, or la waving and smiling. In this video, I'm going to explain to you why there are so many crappy hairstylists and cosmetologists, and why the majority of the people that you're going to have no cosmetology license, period. It sounds like I'm being a hater, but I'm not. And the reason that I left the cosmetology field is because the cosmetology field became over flooded with people that played in hair. Just like when you hear people say, oh, I'm a team natural stylist, or I'm a natural cosmetologist, it literally makes my skin crawl. And by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly why, because cosmetology is a science, and you skipping over it and then getting in people's hair, it explains why so many black women have all of these bald spots, all of this scalp inflammation. It explains why you have braiders putting edge control in the scalp, and you guys have massive inflammation, CCCA, folliculitis, seborrheic dermatitis, and so many other scalp disorders. Well, if you stick around to the end of this video and promise me that you're gonna get out of your feelings and you're not gonna be sensitive, we gonna hop into some stuff. All right,
this Arizona woman does so much more than style hair. She made history. Arizona native and accomplished stylist Essence Farmer has been braiding hair since the age of 12. I think a lot of black women just got to a place where they wanted to embrace their natural and authentic selves and their own beauty, because we've always been shown another standard. Her iconic hair design featured in Essence magazine and in the National Museum of African American History in Washington, D.C. Whatever flows out of you, you give to your client. Your client's able to just be able to wear it as almost a piece of art. But it wasn't always easy for her to be that artist. Arizona law made it difficult to open up her own hair braiding salon. So they told me I had to have a license. At the time, Arizona's Board of Cosmetology required 1,600 hours of classroom instruction, even though not a single hour of natural hair braiding instruction was included in the program. I took up issue with it because the things that I did, which was braids, locks, twists, they didn't teach nor did they test on it. And at a cost of at least $10,000. All that time that I would have spent going to cosmetology school and the money, to me, just didn't make sense. So at just 23 years old, and with the help of the Institute for Justice, she challenged Arizona's cosmetology licensing laws, arguing they stifled job opportunities and suppressed a vibrant expression of culture. It's just a lack of inclusiveness because of ignorance. If you don't have to really think about other people and include other people, you probably won't even, make concessions. In April of 2004, then Governor Janet Napolitano signed Senate Bill 1159 into law, allowing all natural braiders to practice their art without the hurdles.
Now, when they say without the hurdle that they're talking about is learning the actual science of the human body. They're looking at you learning the science of the human body as a hurdle. Like, I don't want to have to do all of this. It don't matter. All I want to do is do hair and make money. I don't care about the science of hair. So when you guys comment on my channel saying, how come they don't know about the science of hair? How come they don't care? Well, you guys told them that it wasn't a requirement.
I realized I made history. Essence now travels the world teaching and speaking on how to be successful in the hair braiding industry. It's crazy to know that I've actually done something that will change the trajectory for many people who are in this industry. Paving the way for braiders like Adelaide Good, who now owns Rare Essence Salon. She says her goal is to help build confidence in her clients, especially clients of color.
It has been seen so often how many times women and men and children have been discriminated based on certain styles they wear naturally, and it's so protective for our hair, but it's demonized.
But in recent years, she says, attitudes towards black hair is evolving.
Parents with children of color who want to have locks in their hair or braids in their hair, I think they are starting to speak up a little bit more to make the change.
And as we celebrate this Juneteenth, it's just the whole idea of freedom. And being able to, be able to be you. I think that's the reason why I opened up Rare Essence, was to be able to make men, women, and children feel comfortable being their authentic selves and being free to be that, you know, whether it's in their professional life and their personal life. And for many years, we didn't have a place to go.
I love y'all, but for so many years they have used black women. We don't have a place to go. We don't have products that are for us. We don't have this, because nobody wants to learn the science. But this is a woman who decided that learning the science of hair isn't important, because all she wants to do is braid your hair and give you cute hairstyles. The health of the human scalp has never been priority for the natural hair community. It's been about giving you guys cute styles that make you feel beautiful about being black. And of course, the Crowns Act was important. Yes, you having locks are freaking beautiful, and nobody should say that you can't have a job because you have locks. But that's a lot different from just skipping over an entire field. Let's keep going.
A new law will allow certain cosmetic professionals to practice without regulation from the state of Mississippi Cosmetology Board.
Yeah, Governor Tate Reeves signed House Bill 1312 into law April 9th. The bill would allow eyebrow threaders, eyelash technicians, and makeup artists to work without an esthetician's license. The bill is the result of several lawsuits filed by the Mississippi Justice Institute and years of litigation.
Behind the scenes, for decades, cosmetologists like myself have been fighting against women who decide that they want to play in hair or they want to play in makeup, and they say that cosmetology school don't matter, and we're actually going to sue and have multiple lawsuits, to the point that the state is like, you know what, who cares? Okay, black women want to argue about this. Black women want to constantly file all of these different lawsuits saying that a cosmetology license doesn't matter and they shouldn't have to go to school to learn the science of the human body. Okay, great. And the thing people use for a reason to why they shouldn't have to go to cosmetology school is because they don't teach braiding or different African styles. But guess what? There are a lot of cultural styles from a lot of different races and cultures that they don't teach in cosmetology school. In cosmetology school, they don't have cultural modules. So you're there to learn the science of the human body, the bonds and all of the different layers of the follicle, the pore, and all of these different things. But if all you care about is doing hair, you never learn that. If all you really are there for is to make money, then I guess it doesn't really matter, right?
According to a spokesman from MJI, prior to the new law, these specific professions needed hours of training that didn't apply to their skill sets.
So MJI took legal action for Amy, and because of that, as you can see, the business is still open and it's still thriving and they're doing great. And now anybody in Mississippi who wants to apply eyelash extensions for a living can do that.
Now, with this new law, the Cosmetology Board can't impose fines, civil or criminal penalties against unlicensed workers of these specific trades. African-style braiding is a way of protecting black hair naturally through twists, locks, and braids. No chemicals are used, just natural ingredients. It's a practice usually passed down from generations.
Today, basically, I'm doing a lock maintenance, a lock retwist, cleaning up the lock shaft just to keep the locks healthy and nourishing.
Diamond Grayson is a licensed natural hairstylist in Chicago, where the state requires 300 hours of classroom and practical experience. Across the country, hair braiding requirements are inconsistent. 26 states don't require licensure at all. Some states require specialty license with 50 to 500 hours of training, while more extreme states, like Idaho and Montana, require a cosmetology license and 2,000 hours of training. For comparison, it takes an average of 150 hours of coursework to become an emergency medical technician, a job where you're helping save lives. Not only is licensure time-consuming for some students, but costly as well. This inconsistency raises a question not only within the hair braiding community, but nationally.
So basically, the argument has been within the industry by the people who are calling themselves team natural professionals is that you don't need a cosmetology license, or you don't need to learn the science of the human body to perform services on the human body. It's too time consuming. most of the people that are servicing you right now feel like, why should I spend all of that time going to school? I have to hurry up and make money. This is too much.
Should hair braiders be licensed at all? The notion of regulating black hair is not new. It has roots in American history.
Black hair was regulated by slave masters who shaved the hair of enslaved people of African descent as a means of control and punishment.
In October of 1670, a Virginia law directed slave masters to give repeated runaway slaves a hair close cut. And Cobb says even the hair of free blacks were regulated. In the 18th century, a New Orleans governor administered the Tenon Law that required free black women to bind their hair in handkerchiefs rather than adorn it with feathers or beads.
The regulation and punishment was a way of taking away both distinction and personal autonomy.
If regulating black hair was a way to enslave black people then, is hair braiding licensing, which can take time and money, just another way of oppressing and suppressing black people today?
So what is so disgusting about this argument to me is we have Annie Turnbow, look her up, and Madam C.J. Walker. Annie Turnbow had a whole university with a garden on top of the building. It was like freaking Harvard for black women, where they learned not only the science of the human body, but herbalism, how to make their own clothes, how to run their own businesses and things of that nature. So to say that you having to get a cosmetology license, your business being regulated by the state and actually respected as a profession that you can get a license for, right? Then it is absolutely insanity to throw out there that the only reason that a black woman would ever want to get a cosmetology license or be licensed, or the only reason it's required of you, is because they're trying to control us like they did in slavery. So okay, what is the excuse for a white woman who has to have a cosmetology license to practice cosmetology, or a Hispanic woman, or a Samoan woman? Like, what is going on? Or a Filipino woman? How come black women are the ones that, oh, we're only using cosmetology licenses to police black women? No, we're using a cosmetology license to say that you need one to do hair because we fought for equality, and every woman on the face of this earth that practices cosmetology has to have a cosmetology license. But now in the field of cosmetology, there is a subsection of people who no longer are required to get any education on the human scalp or on the human body because they're black, and because we were slaves before, and because of all of the things that happened before. A lot of people are not gonna like that what I have to say, but I don't care. The two things are not interconnected. I've been a cosmetologist for well over a decade, almost 2 decades now, and I never felt more proud than the day I got my cosmetology license. I felt like Annie Turnbow was looking down like, do it, girl. Like Madam C.J. Walker was like, do it, girl, mess it up then, mess it up. So to say that for us to finally be able to say, no, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, I'm not just Mimi that does hair in the basement, I'm a licensed cosmetologist, I can file this on my taxes, I can buy a house with this profession, I can do so many things, I can stand in a room with dermatologists with this cosmetology license. To say that it's nothing and to compare it to slavery, really?
Licensed hair braiders we spoke to say it's not about limiting black hair expression, but rather protecting consumers by training stylists on the basics of health and hygiene.
If you went to the doctor, would you be okay with somebody who didn't go to school to be a doctor? Your basics come from school, absolutely. When you go to school, they teach you things about sanitation, they teach you things about marketing, biology of the scalp, face. They teach you about certain disorders like alopecia, the different types of alopecia, what causes them.
Diamond, Denisha, and Letitia believe that licensing is important to hairstyling, but the hair braiding community aren't all alike. Some entrepreneurs just want to do hair without learning the other aspects of cosmetology. We're driving an hour away from Chicago to Maryville, Indiana.
The state doesn't require any license to braid or style natural hair.
I braid hair part-time to supplement my household income, to help put food on the table and pay my bills.
Kinyera Price is a single mom with 2 kids. She's not making enough as a certified nursing assistant, so she's turned to braiding. And because the state doesn't require her to be licensed, she's using it to her advantage.
Why should I go to school to do something that I already know how to do? You're not relaxing, you're not dyeing hair, you're not perming hair. Clients come washed and conditioned already. I don't wash and neither do I condition their hair. I just braid their hair when they come to me or when I go to their home.
Now, I need you to hear me when I say this. You heard her with her own mouth. She's doing it so she can make money. That is what she's here for. And she has a skill, braiding, that people want. And she like, why do I need to learn anything about the human scalp? I'm just braiding. I just have my hands in your head. Like sanitation. There are so many different things. And this is why most braiders are clogging the pores full of edge control and all of these things, because they didn't go to school. There's nothing required of them and they can do it legally. Like, this is one of the main reasons why I said, you know what, this isn't the industry for me anymore. Let's keep going.
Kinyera believes that there shouldn't be a braiding requirement at all, but she does think there should be an optional safety and hygiene course.
We think there are 1,000 ways in which people can learn a skill. What occupational licensing does is only set up one path, the government path, that is often captured by schools or people who sell textbooks and want to earn money.
Lee McGrath works for the Institute for Justice, an organization fighting to deregulate braiding licenses, because they say it stunts job growth. Currently, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island have bills looking to repeal braiding licenses.
So understand that when it's hard for you to find a cosmetologist or a professional or a good one, it is because the industry is full of people who just want to play in hair. And professional cosmetologists like myself have been fighting against it but losing the battle, because guess what? These product lines, they prefer to work with people who have no education on the human hair shaft and the human scalp, because the women who haven't been to school, the women who don't know anything about the structure of the human scalp, women who haven't studied biology like you have to in cosmetology school, don't understand what type of damage they're doing by greasing, oiling, and buttering the scalp. It's so important, but remember, it doesn't matter anymore. It's not something that you guys care about. So the state has just went ahead and joined in with black women and said, okay, y'all don't need it. It's taking you too much. Get your money.
Advocates for government really missed the boat that the most powerful regulation, far greater than a piece of paper hanging on the wall, is word of mouth.
Black consumers spend nearly $500 million a year in hair care. With that much consumer power, perhaps it'll be consumers who decide whether braiding license matter at all.
I mean, it's the quality of your work that matters, honestly. That's how I feel.
The quality of your work that matters, honestly. That's how I feel.
You've probably seen these before.
So this was part of our demonstration, on base, off base, half base.
And you're most likely familiar with a comb.
The difference between sanitizing and disinfecting.
But when you go to a salon to get these services done professionally,
is your sink sanitized properly?
With tools used on dozens of customers before you, you probably assume the salon knows what they're doing.
It's more than glitz and glam.
Charlotte Wooten is a licensed cosmetologist who owns Center of Attraction Hair Gallery in Duncanville. But the state congressman from Plano, Matt Shaheen, believes extensive training isn't necessary. He proposed House Bill 1705. If passed, cosmetologists wouldn't be required to have any certification. He argues in a statement, quote, Texans that are willing to join the workforce and compete, especially low-income Texans looking to improve their lives, should face the fewest obstacles possible.
please pay attention to what they just said. Rewind that. He literally said, because y'all broke, or because y'all don't have that much money, it's gonna be hard enough for you to get some money together, for you to go get the proper education that you need to make sure that you're getting the right education to practice cosmetology, so you're not hurting people. So because y'all don't have the money to do it, and because it's already hard enough for y'all don't have to go to school to do hair professionally. This license don't matter. Forget it. They don't do it with anybody else. Everybody else is still going to school, even though technically by law, if a person of another race wanted to say, oh well, I don't want to get a license either, I'ma just work as a licensed braider, then they can't say anything to them. But none of them are doing that. They're all still going to school to learn the science. But understand that when y'all get online, or when y'all come on my page and be like, oh, Stan, the cosmetologists that are out now are so trash, they so trash. I know they are, because for years, cosmetologists like myself have been fighting and filing lawsuits and trying to fight against the Team Natural community that's saying, forget cosmetology licenses, you don't need none of that. And these women are opening schools, like one of the women that you saw in here that fought for it and was like, oh, I made history. She got the cosmetology license basically thrown out, and she has opened up a school and has never been a cosmetology school. She has no formal education on the human hair shaft, the human scalp, the body system, the biology of the body, nothing. But has opened a school. And these women who are walking around like, I'm a Team Natural stylist, I'm a Team Natural specialist, these are the same women who have went to places.
Representative
like
going on to say, it is shocking, and he used that word shocking, that the average EMT is required to complete 120 to 150 hours of training, whereas cosmetologists, they need to get 1,500 hours of training. Charlotte disagrees, telling me these hours are necessary to make sure that you, the customer, stay safe.
And Charlotte looked, she was like, what did you do? I said, I just came from a nail salon.
Angela Gormer is one of Charlotte's customers. She knows beauty can come with a price after she suffered from a bad pedicure.
And my leg was like orange.
Charlotte rushed Angela to the ER, where doctors gave the diagnosis, a staph infection.
I learned that through going through beauty school.
Angela has never gotten a pedicure since, and Charlotte, she started a petition online against House Bill 1705.
Because I stand behind this chair hour after hour.
In Duncanville.
And it's personal for me.
I'm Ariel Placencia.
Girl is on fire.
With 30 years of hair extensions, braiding, and hair replacement techniques under her belt, Lillian Anderson is a wealth of knowledge.
So you trim this off, and it looks like hair growing out of their head.
But it doesn't take an expert like her to know the demand for her services is through the roof.
You guys don't even know. Extensions market is huge.
Her business has been going steady since she started nearly 3 decades ago, but the hoops she had to jump through have been intense. Back before 2007, hair braiders like Anderson had to go through hours of cosmetology school to be licensed.
I told you that this video was going to be full of unpopular opinions. Now, I know y'all like when women are older and stuff, whatever. She just said out of her own mouth, oh, I had to jump through all of the hoops just to get a cosmetology license. If you're in somebody's head, you should be a cosmetologist. Whether you decide to only do braids, to only do, it doesn't matter. You should know everything that there is to know about the human body. Just like when you go to school, when you go to college, you're going to be in school for the first couple of years you're there. You're not even going to be working on whatever the field is that you're going into. A doctor's in school for almost 20 something years, and those first couple of years, those first 4 to 5 years, or maybe even those first 8 years, they're not even doing anything that has anything to do with their specialty. However, black women are saying like, you know what, oh, it's just too much, we gotta go to school like everybody else, we gotta be in school for 2 years, I don't want to do all that, I already know how to braid. You don't go to cosmetology school school to learn how to braid. You go to cosmetology school to learn how to make sure that the braids that you're putting in your client's hair don't damage their scalp. You're going to cosmetology school to learn how to color your client's hair to match the braids if that's something that they want to do. You go to cosmetology school to learn the proper ways to prep your client's hair for braids. Like, come on, it is laziness and the lack of accountability. Sorry.
That's still required back then. What is it, 1,500 hours?
1,500 hours, yes. They wanted me to take 1,500 hours. And in those 1,500 hours, there wasn't much. It was probably, I would say, not even 30 hours of extensions.
It was 1,550 hours to be exact, all for a school that didn't teach much of braiding or extensions. To put those hours into perspective, according to the Institute for Justice, to become an EMT in Hennepin County, it takes 142 hours of skills and clinical training. To be licensed to carry a concealed weapon, it takes 6. Anderson decided she didn't have that kind of time, so she decided to fight.
I don't think that the fight was just for me, because there were other people that want similar opportunities and other people that already were familiar and good at the craft, and all they needed to do is just to get some kind of certification that won't take 1,500 hours.
And in 2006, she won. By 2007, hair braiders only needed to get 30 hours of training and $20 for a license.
Did you hear that? 30 hours. 30 hours of training. So not even 48 hours, not even 2 days worth of training to get in your hair versus 1,500 hours. Now, I do not regret any of those 1,500 hours that I spent in cosmetology school, because every last second of cosmetology school was worth it. But I need y'all to understand that the people that y'all are going to have been fighting cosmetologists tooth and nail to be able to get out here and do y'all hair with no formal education. That's why the majority of the women that y'all are going to are trash, because she even said it herself. She's been doing hair for 30 years. These women have been fighting tooth and nail to make sure that they don't actually have to spend more than 30 hours learning how to do your hair versus a cosmetologist who went to school to do hair and has been to school for 1,500 hours learning a multitude of things. No, you do not learn how to braid in cosmetology school.
But now, 14 years since the initial lawsuit Anderson put together, hair braiders don't need a license at all to practice what they've been doing for years.
It's a huge relief. I think we are in a really good place. We're in a better place.
She says now, with the last knot untangled in the legislature, she wants to devote her time to teaching her craft to young women who want to learn.
I think that the trade will really benefit them because it has some really good revenue. And I think that it will really benefit young people to be able to become independent entrepreneurs. And not only that, it will be a great women empowerment.
The Indiana State Board of Cosmetology is requiring hairstylists who braid natural hair to have a license to practice, while 2 hairstylists in Baton Rouge filed a lawsuit last month against the Louisiana braiding license for requirements. An unlicensed hairstylist right here in Shreveport says she sees both sides, even if it could put her out of a job. NBC6's Shirley Buzico shares more.
Shahendria Powell braids the hair of an 11-year-old girl. Powell, now 24, has been braiding hair since she was 14.
The best part about it for me is my clients look on their face after they get up, they be happy.
Although she may be good at what she does, here in Louisiana, it is required for braiders to have a cosmetology license. And to obtain the license takes hundreds of hours for class that costs thousands of dollars in tuition.
Right now, it's a process for me to get back in school and finish, so right now, I really don't know.
Braiding hair is her only source of income.
Right now, yes. Until I get a job and I start working. I really don't see a difference in having a license. In my opinion, the paper don't matter. When your work speaks for itself and people see you do good work, it don't matter to me. Whether you have a paper or not,
The Louisiana State Board of Cosmetology says the regulation is simply due to health and safety. Paul says she's not really against the license. In fact, she only gets 5 clients every other month.
That's because I'm not licensed. So, whenever I get my license, I guess they'll come back. If they don't, then that's fine too.
Shirley Bustico.
To get the license, hairstylists must complete 500 hours of training and take the exam.
So I know a lot of people aren't gonna like this opinion, but once again, this is one of the main reasons why I decided to step from behind the chair and go down a different road, still in the cosmetology field, but from behind the chair, because the water is just a little too muddied. And the thing is, in the same industry, I would have clients who knew people who went to people who didn't have licenses, and then they would come and try to argue with me and go back and forth. So the reason that y'all have so many differences in opinions is because y'all are all going to people who who haven't been to school. Y'all all are going to people who don't know what they're talking about. And then on top of them not going to school and getting the proper education, YouTube became a thing, and they can also do commentary and make videos and talk crap and make money off of that. So that was a whole nother thing. That's why some of y'all favorite YouTubers that y'all buy products from that are at Ulta, they went to cosmetology school after their products was already being sold, because you guys made it so that the field of cosmetology didn't matter. You guys were saying that it didn't matter if whether or not a cosmetologist, if somebody had a license or not, as long as they knew how to braid. The work speaks for itself. That's what people have been saying for years. So a lot of you are new to my channel, so you may not know me like that, and a lot of you have been asking like, oh, well, why don't you do hair anymore, or why don't you like Team Natural, or why are you so passionate about it? Because it's real surface level for y'all. For y'all, it just looks like, oh, these are the products that we use, or oh, black women should be able to wear their hair. But no, as you can see, there are licensed cosmetologists like myself who've been in court and filing lawsuits for years. This has been going on for years, and Team Natural made it so that the field of cosmetology is no longer respected. Nobody respects a licensed cosmetologist, to the point that you guys can no longer tell the difference between a licensed cosmetologist or a licensed braider. This is why today in 2024, everybody's like, oh, cosmetologists are lazy now. They don't even braid hair. No, cosmetologists aren't lazy. These braiders are, or these people who do not have licenses. And guess what? There's nothing anybody can do about it, because the state, as you guys just seen in these videos, these women filed lawsuits the same way that they filed lawsuits with Olaplex and with soon Maya Organics. Beyonce's gonna be up next. Watch. Like, it's ridiculous. The same way you guys are doing it with relaxers. It is ridiculous. And Team Natural and all of the laws that have been set in place were not set in place because they're backed by science. It's set in place because black women who have no formal education on the body or the human scalp have jumped into the field of cosmetology and saw a quick money grab and said, cosmetologists, they put a wall up for us, and they not about to put no wall up because we black and they don't have enough products for us. And they used to use that as a way to torture us, and they played the black card, and y'all fell for it. And like I said, I'm passionate like this because I've been in the trenches for years fighting against women who do not have a license with anything that have won. They won, and the government said, okay, fine, they shouldn't have to go through all of this. They already don't have no money. They already black. Life is already hard for them, so they don't have to have no license. They don't need to go to school like the rest of the world to get an education. They could just say they braid hair, they do it culturally, and boom, they could do it legally. And now here we are in 2024. So if anybody wants to know why I don't do hair anymore, why I'm so passionate about my dislike for the Team Natural community, now you know why. Because there's layers to it, and you guys only see surface layer. Here is a little bit of what lies beneath. And if you guys want me to go even deeper into my vault of videos showing you the different things that cosmetologists like me have been fighting on the federal level, like in civil courts and things of that nature, fighting for the rights of cosmetologists, let me know and we'll have a part 2.
Thousands of barbers and hairstylists all across the state are pushing representatives to vote no on a new House bill.
That piece of legislation would allow someone to cut hair or perform skincare without a license. As CBS 4's Mike Sullivan tells us, the professionals say it will eliminate trust in their industry.
On Main Street in Zionsville, you'll find Amber McDowell at Kimberly's Hair Design.
Hardest parts of a men's cut essentially is the blending.
Behind those shears is far more than the minimum 1,500 hours necessary for a license to cut hair.
We have spent years and tons, thousands of dollars perfecting our craft.
Yet as they unravel the tinfoil, they believe newly proposed state legislation may unravel their industry.
Right now, everybody's angry.
It's called House Bill 1364, eliminating the requirement for any stylist, cosmetologist, or esthetician to need a license to operate.
You want to be a plumber? You gotta go to school.
Per the bill, an employee must disclose if they aren't licensed and maintain health and safety standards.
We feel like it devalues our industry,
particularly when it comes to sanitation. McDowell is saying it's a large part of the education process.
It's hard enough for an amateur to cut hair, let alone use hazardous chemicals. A nick or cut could lead to hidden dangers without sanitation training.
Funguses, staph, all the things that can be transmitted if the sanitation isn't done appropriately.
From her chair,
No, I wouldn't.
Laura Judson is pretty clear on if she would see an unlicensed stylist.
While there are so many talented amateurs out there, there are also a lot of people who maybe have a little bit more confidence in their own ability.
Judson admitting there could be far less risk in a men's cut.
Me having my hair all burned off or cut off, that will take me 3 years to grow it back out.
There's a petition out, and we're close to 36,000 signatures to stop the bill.
The creators citing concerns like infections, burns, serious bodily harm. In Zionsville, I'm Mike Sullivan, CBS 4 News.
We reached out to the reps for the author and co-sponsor on the bill. They are still working to get a response for us.